Hi, Lorraine Smith from Tourmaline and Time Quilts. I'm here today to teach you how to make a ribbon star. This particular star I use in my American Spirit pattern. It's a 9-patch star with ribbons in the corners as well as floating points for the star itself. So first we're going to show you how to make this corner. You'll make 4 of them. You cut your pieces like so, and the most important thing to do is be able to kind of center these. Now, with the measurements given, it makes it pretty easy to center them. You can always fold in the center of each of these so that you make sure you get the midpoints. I have starched these to make sure that they will stay together pretty well. 1/4 of an inch seam. So this gives us the first side here, and because we starched this pretty well, it will fold down. Now we're going to put on the second side, and you want to make sure that you always put it to the right sides together. Okay, we're going to sew down the other side. Fold it open, and now using the measurements in the pattern, you are going to trim this up. Now a trick for trimming this is going to be to use a square ruler that has a lovely diagonal here. That'll help you align your block so that you can put this diagonal line down the center, trim, and then when you flip it around to trim the other side, you're going to move it down. So I'm going to take it over to trim it, and then we'll get on to the next portion of the block. Our second block for this ribbon star is a 1/4 square triangle. We're going to need 4 of them. So when you have 4 1/4 square triangles, you'll need 4 starting blocks. So with these, I have marked a diagonal line down the center of each of these navy blue, and we're going to sew down a 1/4 of an inch seam on each side. So this is typical for your half square triangles. Now, our next step is to cut these on this drawn line here. So what we end up with here are half square triangles. So we will have 2 that have this ivory and navy. And we're going to press the navy seam toward the navy side. And we will have two that are the navy and the red, as you can see here. And then we press these always the same direction. Our next step is going to be to face these right sides together. And we're going to nest our seams like so. Okay, you're going to nest your seam like so. Now it's very important for these to stay nested. So how I usually keep them that way is with the help of a little bit of a clip here. Now to make these do what we need them to do, we need to draw another line, this time perpendicular to our first seam. Okay, and I have chosen a yellow pencil here. It doesn't show up as well here on the light color, but it shows up really well on the dark color. So we're going to do this twice, and then we're going to sew the seam and cut it again. Okay, our next step here, we're going to sew on both sides of this drawn line. You can see I'm feeling to make sure that we've got the seams nested. Now we're going to cut these on the line. Oops, didn't cut back far enough. And voila! We have our quarter square triangles. Now with these, if we want to make sure that they kind of lay a little flatter, what you can do is spin the seam, in which case you do this right here, and that makes sure that it will it makes sure, and I take just a little bit of a seam ripper here and just pull out just this one little seam here, this one little stitch, and this makes sure that it lays a little bit flatter. Okay, so we can do, once we get these trimmed to size, then what we do is we're going to sew them all together here. So that should hopefully make that a little bit easier. So be back in a second.